We're here with the Elders Stand for Fair Elections, a national volunteer group that's working hard to increase safe and successful participation in this next election. We're talking today with Maxine Lobel, who heads up their Florida chapter, and Reverend Candace Thomas from Miami's Christ Congregational United Church of Christ, one of the many faith-based groups the team is working with. Reverend Thomas, what drew you to work with the Elders Stand for Fair Elections campaign?
Well, actually, Maxine's email to our church and our follow-up phone call was just really, what do I want to say, a breath of fresh air. And what the goals of her group are very, very similar to what we in the United Church of Christ, which is my denomination, are focusing on in our faith, our vote campaign, to try to help it happen that the elections are fair and that everyone has a chance to vote.
What role does spirituality play in these troubled times?
If you don't feel the need for it now, I don't know when you do feel it. People are, really hurting and really just at a loss. These are scary times. And I preach about it all the time. Last week it was Jesus walking on water and Peter going out and starting to sink, and the cry, "Lord, save me." The title of the sermon was That Sinking Feeling. And I think that we have that sinking feeling, and we need someone to whom we can call, "Lord, save me," and know that we will be heard and we will be helped.
What would you say to people who feel that these are the end times, so there's no sense in taking any action to try to change things?
I'd say that's crazy talk. It's not over till it's over. No, I think that kind of thinking is just alien to me. I think as much as bad things come unexpectedly, I think good things come. And God calls us to partner with God. We have a responsibility as stewards of this planet. And God has given us that responsibility because God thinks we can do it.
People who don't know a spiritual sense of themselves often will brush off religion because of how it's used. And that's what I want to try to explore. If they think that the people that are twisting, and it's happened throughout history that people have twisted religion to get power, and
Right.
they brush that off then and think that that's what it's all about. And so the image that the country has, or that the media has of what the religious vote is not as consistent as they would portray. Is that correct?
We have a spectrum. Christianity's a big umbrella, and there are lots of subsets under it. In the United Church of Christ, at least most of the churches that I know are progressive, and that's on one end of the umbrella. And then you have them down to very conservative, and we do not all believe the same things. In fact, sometimes it might seem that you're in a total separate religion. They may not understand that there is a wide diversity under the label Christianity. What I believe, what fellow church members believe, may be very, very different from what other Christians believe. There's a hymn, they'll know we are Christians by our love. you use that yardstick and see if you got a Christian.
How would you define progressive? You said you're more progressive. How would you define that?
I think progressives are very open to a lot of different understandings of what it means to live out your faith. They're not big on heaven and hell. That, you know, the punishment time, the being afraid of God. No, they trust God. They trust that God in God's goodness, and are not worried about the afterlife as much as they are about the present life and how we can be faithful to Christ's mandate to love and serve. You know, a lot of different churches have a lot of different rules. We don't have a lot of rules. We have a lot of, I guess, trust, and try to do our best, and think God will help us, I guess.
What truths do you think that other religions have in common with this true Christianity that you're talking about? Are there similar?
Yeah, we're, you know, as I said before, you know, Judaism and Islam, it's the same. Love God and love neighbor. I mean, not the same in some of the beliefs, but basically, I'm in a interfaith clergy group down here that's a delight, and we talk about these things, and it's, you know, I could be in either faith. I couldn't do it without Jesus, but I would, you know, the caring for each other and trusting God, we have in common.
What's your best advice to the spiritual community at large?
Practice some spiritual disciplines to strengthen your spirit and to, I guess, have a deeper sense of the connection between our faith, our spiritual life, and how we live that out. Sometimes people think that spiritual stuff is just sitting or kneeling and praying and just being quiet. It's also marching. It's also demonstrating with signs. It's active as well as passive.
To find out how you can help, go to eldersaction.org/fair-elections. This project is part of the national nonprofit Elders Action Network.